I am Loki the Gamer, I love Civilization 6, I love Mischief, so these are my Magic the Gathering cards based off of Civilization 6. This grand project where I've taken all 50 civs in the game and turned into a little bundle of 6 cards each for a grand total of, let's do the math, 300 cards. Let's take a look at the 6 cards designed for Hungary. We have 1 legendary land, 1 leader, 3 unique builds, and 1 card designed after the leader's agenda, what he likes and dislikes when you play against him as an AI in the game. An overview of Hungary tells us that there will be production boosts for builds made along rivers. So, rivers, you can expect those to translate into islands, of course, and production, according to my equivalency chart here, translates to ramping, of course. There will be the concept of city-states, because Matthias Corvinus of Hungary loves his city-states. City-states translate to legendary lands, but will there be truly mention of city-states? Yes, it's true that Hungary greatly benefits from sending envoys to city-states, becoming their friends, becoming their suzerain, but I actually designed all my cards by really avoiding the concept of city-states, so there will be no mentions of legendary lands. Instead, I interpreted the concept of levying units from city-states in a different way. But there will be the concept of levying units, so buying units and also upgrading levied units. That is really where Hungary's strengths lies, in not only levying units, but specifically upgrading them. Hungary gets a huge discount for upgrading levied units, so I will have used that concept. And levied units turned into mercenaries, so the mercenary creature type will be in full swing here for Hungary. And the only time that I actually referred to the concept of city-states in the form of legendary lands is because of the fact that Hungary gets extra bonus envoys when they do levy units. So when that happens, I did find a way to refer to the concept of city-states, aka legendary lands. More on that in a moment. And finally, one aspect of Hungary grants amenities, and according to the chart, amenities translates to a few things, one of which is life gain, and that's what I used. The color identity of Hungary will be, well, black. It has to be black, Matthias Corvinus being the Black King, leader of the Black Army, and because of his reliance on rivers, I gave him blue as well. So we've got a Demir scheme going on here, black and blue for Hungary. Hungary, the Civilization 6 power itself is called Pearl of the Danube. That is the one that gives you extra production for districts and buildings constructed along rivers. And we can see that in the magic card that I created, the rare legendary land of Hungary. Hungary enters tapped and gives you a black and a blue. And there's the Pearl of the Danube ability right there in the middle. So, the concept of settling near a river in the game, I turned into a sacrifice cost. So yes, obviously in Civ 6, no one expects you to destroy part of the river, so you're not sacrificing the river itself, but you're using up a spot near the river. So the concept of using up one of your very limited spots turns into sacrificing an island. So of course that's going to be a hopefully very good ability, because sacrificing a land is a major deal. So let's read on. Sacrifice an island, tap Hungary. You may cast a spell this turn by paying 1 instead of paying its mana cost. So yes, you do get a production boost, a discount, a major discount. Imagine casting some of those game-breaking blue spells for only 1 mana. Of course, that mana can come from the very island that you just sacrificed. And of course, by tapping Hungary itself, so it kind of costs you 2 lands, Hungary and that island. And of course, that island is gone for good. But if you brought in something nasty like omnipotence or those blue things that I don't really use all that much, but I know people have done some amazing, crazy, game-breaking combos with those. Well, imagine doing that on turn 2. Well, yeah. That could happen. And I felt bad, I really felt bad for taking away a whole island away from you, so I replaced it with a treasure. So you get essentially a one-time use island that can actually tap for more than just a blue, can tap for anything. So there you go, there's Hungary. The costs are very high, but the upshot might be too good when you think of all of these huge nasty demons or omnipotence spells. So yeah, let me know if you think that maybe the cost is not high enough. Let's move on to the great leader of Hungary, Matthias Corvinus, the Raven King. Here we start embracing the whole concept of the city-states and levying units and upgrading levied units. So let's read on what his Raven King ability says. Levied units gain an ability giving them extra movement, extra combat strength, and they cost 75% less gold and resources to upgrade. Wow, that's a lot. And if you levy troops from city-states, you get 2 free envoys with that city-state. So let's see what I did with the Matthias Corvinus card, and as I've already said, there will be no mention of city-states until the very end, until we get to the aspect of getting free envoys when you levy units. So, he is a 4-cost, 1 black, 1 blue, 2 generic, rare, human noble warrior with stats 4-3, and his Raven King ability reads, whenever a creature enters under your control, if you cast it for less mana than its mana value, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains Renowned, and it becomes a mercenary in addition to its other types. Then put a hexproof counter on target legendary land you control. So there you go, I focused on the concept of upgrading levied units for cheap. So whenever you do cast a creature for less than its cost, so basically whenever you get a rebate upon casting a creature, that counts as upgrading it for cheap. And then the card goes, oh, you just upgraded a card for cheap, that must be a mercenary, so we're gonna make it a mercenary, a levied unit, and since you've just upgraded it, we're gonna put a +1/+1 counter, and we're gonna give it Renown. So it might get another +1/+1 counter by itself when it attacks and goes unblocked. That's what the Renown ability is. And the Renowned keyword makes sense because the Black Army, levied units are legendary, they are quite renowned, so using the old keywords of Renown seem to make sense to me, and I love doing that. I love reusing old magic terms, old magic keywords, because why not? I get to do that. These are homemade cards for fun, so I don't need to worry about balancing my set and not using too many keywords or reusing too many keywords. So the more keywords, the better. However, the ability by itself is limited. It rewards you because it notices, oh, you just upgraded a creature for a discount, so we're gonna do some nice things to it, upgrade it and boost it, sure, but how do you cast creatures with a discount? I hate to rely on other things. Matthias Corvinus did need a built-in way of guaranteeing that he could get a discount, and that's why he has another ability. Mercenary creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So there you go, when you build him, you want to make a mercenary tribal deck, essentially. And I looked them up. Most mercenaries are indeed black or blue. And red. So you won't get to play with the red ones, that's a shame, but there's more than enough mercenaries in black and blue to build a potential deck out of him. And I've created even a few more in the rest of this little mini set, you'll see. So there we go. When you do cast a mercenary, you do get a rebate. His Raven King ability does kick in, and therefore you get to boost that creature, give it Renown, turn it into a mercenary. Well, it already is a mercenary, so it'll be a double mercenary. I guess you don't need that in the case of a true mercenary. But there you go, it does work. And also, it works for any other way that you can get a discount. I don't know, a foretold creature, a creature that you get to cast for free. on a later turn after foretelling it, well, that's a discount. It's a massive discount. Any other way that you can think of getting a discount will work. I don't know, maybe you want to load your deck with zombies and rely on zombie discounts like the Rooftop Storm or that big giant creepy dude who gives your zombie spells 1 mana discount. So yeah, a number of ways of taking this deck, including, of course, mercenaries. And then the fact that you get some free envoys when all of this stuff happens, when you levy units, levy/upgrade them, is represented by the fact that you get to hexproof one of your legendary lands. So legendary lands being roughly interpreted as city-states, you get to protect them with a hexproof counter. Now, protecting them is, in my mind, roughly the same as I'm already the suzerain of that city-state, I'm already the master and commander of that city-state. The proof of that is that I just levied and upgraded some other units, and for my effort, I'm gonna get to 2 extra envoys, securing my foothold on that city-state's political canvas. So I'm already its leader, I'm gonna be even more its leader. People will have to work extra hard now to take it away from me. So yeah, you get to protect it. So in Magic terms, that city-state, aka that legendary land, is already in my deck. Now it's got hexproof. People are gonna have to work extra hard to affect it, destroy it, or take it away from me in some fashion or other. Germany, for instance, will have a really hard time now using their powers and steal my legendary lands now that I've protected them. So there you go, there's the logic, I quite like it. Let's move on to the first of Hungary's unique unit, the Hussar. Because Poland has a Hussar of their own, but this is a different take on the same word, Hussar. I'm not sure if it's pronounced differently. Basically, it's the horse dude with the tiny legs. So there we go. The horse dude with the tiny legs is an upgraded cavalry, and it's surprisingly a very peaceful unit. So not sure if it made a lot of sense to turn it into a black creature, but I did. Basically, the Hussar gets combat bonuses for all of the active alliances you have. So no, it's not that peaceful. Of course, it expects to see combat. It is a military unit, so it expects you to have at least one enemy, but it also expects you to have alliances. It gets combat bonuses the more alliances you have. So in a typical Hungary game, you would have a lot of alliances and then one nasty enemy against which you send all of your Hussar, and your Hussars would get a massive boost. So I turned this into a black card indeed, a 5-drop 3/3. So that sounds mighty cost prohibitive, but it does get a discount, and you know what that means. Matthias Corvinus will be very happy about that. It costs 1 less to cast for each opponent you haven't attacked this game and hasn't attacked you. So that's how I treated the concept of alliances. So basically anyone with whom you've never drawn blood or have never been drawn blood from, it's considered an ally, at least for now, and therefore the Hussar will give you a discount for each of those opponents that are still friends. So basically in a 4-player pod, this guy could be cast for as much as a 3 mana discount, so he could cost as little as 1 black and 1 generic. Not bad for a 3/3 black common. And of course he is a human horse scout. Like all such mounted units derived from Civ 6, if it's a mounted unit, it needs horse in the creature type. We need a way to tell apart mounted units from melee units, because Civilization 6 does make a massive difference. There are such things as anti-cavalry, even though Magic the Gathering never cares if there's a dude on a horse on a card. Magic makes it just I don't know, an elf knight or something like that. It doesn't include the horse as part of the creature type, but I had to do that in order to preserve the Civ 6 logic and unity. So sure enough, our tiny-legged Hussar here is a human horse scout. Speaking of dudes on a horse, with also relatively tiny legs, at least compared to their massive forearm and fists. Geez, this guy's hands could rival that of Julius Caesar. We've got the Black Army. Now, the Black Army is Matthias Corvinus' special unit. If there was another Hungary leader, they wouldn't have access to the Black Army. This is a unit unique specifically to Matthias Corvinus. In Civilization 6, it gets combat bonuses for being near levied units. So once again, it thrives on the concept of you must befriend city-states, you must levy their units, upgrade their units. That's how you play Hungary, and yes, I've done it. It's a lot of fun. I love playing the city-state angle in any game of Civ. So when I play a leader like Tamar of Georgia or Matthias Corvinus of Hungary that focuses on befriending city-states, then I am quite happy indeed. And the Black Army synergizes with that very well, rewards you for levying a bunch of units, and since levied units here, in the case of my magic cards, are treated as mercenaries, well, of course, my Black Army unit will get bonuses for each other mercenary you control. Let's take a look at the card. It is a 4-drop, 2 black, 2 generic, 4/4, Human Horse Mercenary, a rare card, and sure enough, it gets +1/+1 for each other mercenary you control. And I decided to give it a little bit more. It is a rare card after all, so I wanted it to synergize even more with Matthias Corvinus' abilities, and I love triggered abilities, so I'll never shy away from creating a new triggered ability. Since Matthias Corvinus gives his levied upgraded units the Renowned keyword ability, then this triggers off of Renowned. It says, whenever a creature you control becomes renowned, lose 1 life and draw a card. So that's really neat, and of course, being black, it's a potentially dangerous thing. You could attack an opponent, have a whole bunch of your creatures go unblocked, become renowned, you lose a bunch of life, you die. That could actually happen. So yes, you could kill your opponent with one massive attack, and in doing so, also kill yourself because too many creatures went unblocked. Your opponent, when they notice that they have no way of surviving this, they might say, you know what, I'm just not going to block. So all of your creatures become renowned, they all hurt you, and since you had, I don't know, 6 life left, guess what, I can't win, but I'm dragging you down with me, so your own Black Army's ability could kill you. I love that, it's very black. But the upshot is amazing, you draw cards, so how can that be bad? And since your deck has blue, then drawing card in a blue deck, and doing so the black way, which is by losing life, fits very well. Drawing cards is normally associated with science, according to my chart here, but Hungary doesn't have any science-related abilities. This was just me playing to the strengths of the magic color pie. Black and blue, drawing cards and losing life makes sense. Now, enough with the units. The third unique build of Hungary is the Thermal Bath. It is an entertainment building, it replaces the zoo, so of course you can expect it to produce amenities, but as a special bonus, it produces production also. Produces production? It grants production. It gives you... It produces. There we go. It is a blue spell, 1 blue, 1 generic, a common aura, so like most improvements or districts or buildings, it translates to either an artifact or a land aura. In this case, I chose a land aura. And it grants the land, tap, exile the top card of your library. You may cast it by paying 2. Now that looks like an impulse draw, and if so, well, that is the wrong color. How do we have an impulse draw in blue? Well, it's not quite exactly that. Let's read on. If you do cast it for 2, gain life equal to its mana value. So we've met our equivalency, amenities turn into life gain. Good. But it still looks like an impulse draw. Not really, let's read on. When it enters, turn it face down. It's a blue 2/2 mercenary creature. So there you go. It's not really an impulse draw because you don't actually get that spell. You pay only 2, which could be a very different cost than the spell itself. Maybe it's more expensive, maybe it's less expensive, maybe it is exactly 2. Either way, we don't care about the cost of the original spell. You bring it in play by only paying the fixed price of 2, and you get a blue 2/2 mercenary creature. So it's not an impulse draw, it's a lot more like Manifest, which is very true to blue. But it's not Manifest, it's not quite as good as Manifest, because manifested creatures, you could always turn them face up for their mana cost. This doesn't say so. So it is a blue 2/2 mercenary creature forever. But it could have triggered Matthias's ability. Because don't forget, you exile a card, everyone can see its mana value, and then you cast it by paying 2. So if that card's mana value was more than 2, then you just cast it for less than its value. That triggers Matthias. So yes, you might indeed get all the goodies that Matthias Corvinus gives you when you cast a creature spell for less than its mana value. It depends what's in your deck, it depends what you just flipped. So that's pretty cool. And the cost is acceptable. You tap that one land and you pay 2 more, so it's pretty costly, but you might get all of that good stuff. And let's not forget that you also get some life gain from it. That life gain can help compensate for all of the life loss you incur from your black army and all of your renowned creatures and your card draw. So there we go, it all works out. And finally, a pretty mean and nasty spell based off of Matthias Corvinus' agenda, the Raven Banner. For 3 black and 2 generic, you get to punish other players heavily, and if they have some mercenaries, they get to save themselves a little bit from that nasty effect. The logic behind that is that Matthias Corvinus, he loves other players who levy units frequently, and he dislikes those who ignore that aspect of the game. So, since levied units translate to mercenaries, then this spell is very mercenary tribal also. It says, each player sacrifices X creatures, where X is the number of mercenaries you control. So the more mercenaries you have, the more you'll be hurting other players. And other players, they get to save themselves a little bit if they have some mercenaries of their own. Because it says, each player may put a stun counter on any number of mercenaries they control. For each counter added this way, they reduce the number of creatures they must sacrifice by 1. So there you go, you don't get to sacrifice quite as many creatures if you have mercenaries, so Matthias does love you if you have mercenaries of your own, but you must still stun them. Of course, it stuns them, but it doesn't tap them. So a stun counter does not tap a creature, it just prevents it from untapping. Next time it would have to untap, instead of untapping it, you remove a stun counter. So I made the effect put a stun counter, but it doesn't tap the mercenaries. So if they happen to be already untapped, you have full control of when those stun counters will be a factor. And if you play with the land of Egypt that I created, then you get to remove them for free. Link, link, link to another one of my videos. Haha. And that completes the Hungary set. Now, how would you make this into a deck? How would you make this into a commander deck with Matthias Corvinus at the helm? Well, surely you would have a lot of mercenaries. Like we've already said, you might want to go a completely different way, like zombies or whatever else is in blue, where you have access to other creature discounts in order to trigger his ability as much as possible. You might want to put some legendary lands just for the fun purpose of giving them hexproof, but that's probably not your strategy. That is a simple bonus, I suppose. However, you do have renowned that you can count on. You have a bunch of +1/+1 counters, so you shouldn't neglect abilities that deal with +1/+1 counters, such as that merfolk that makes all of your +1/+1 counter creatures unblockable. I always forget its name. But anyway, that guy, that is a auto-include in that deck. Anything else in black that I can't think of right now, so anything that deals with either doubling the number of counters on your creatures or doing nasty cool stuff with them. There is one card that draws you a card when you simply remove a counter from a creature. That guy would be nice. You just remove counters and draw cards easily. I know that green and white are by far the best colors for dealing with +1/+1 counters, adding more and doing nasty cool stuff with them. But it's not like black and blue are completely useless at it either, so you would be able to include a whole bunch of those effects as well. amidst all of your mercenaries and whatever else you choose to load this deck with. Do you think that my Matthias is appropriately priced? 4 mana, is that too much, too little? Let me know what you think of this potential deck. Would you use these cards if they existed? Would you use them together, or would you sneak them into the 99 of some other deck? Do you agree with the color scheme that I used for Hungary? I can't wait to see what you think about that, and I welcome all of your wonderful support like usual. Those likes, those subscribes. This project has been so time-consuming. I've spent practically more time on this project than I've played Civilization 6 itself. No, just kidding, that's impossible. But it was still a whole lot of love and effort, and if you don't know, my channel has all of these older videos that are comedic parodies of the leader videos of Civilization 6, talking to one another, a whole bunch of goofy skits that I wrote and performed myself. Had a lot of fun making those. There's a bunch, there's dozens and dozens of those videos out there. Have fun exploring my channel. Subscribe and hit the notification for future videos, sure, but dig up my older videos as well. They are certainly worth it. If the comments are anything to go by, it seems like I have brought mirth and merriment to a whole bunch of fans already. Hopefully you are the next one.